Hello, and welcome to James and the Frames. Today I'd like to talk about one of my favorite aspects of the 2019 film Parasite. Parasite is a brilliant film. All of its elements are masterfully executed, from the sound editing to the score to the pacing and direction and basically everything. But there's one more element that I noticed was used in a very subtle yet effective way. The element of weather plays an important thematic role in Parasite. Of course, there's plenty of other films that do this in brilliant ways, but I thought I'd do Parasite because I talked about it a couple months ago on my podcast, alongside Memories of Murder. If you guys want to check that episode out, I'll leave a link in the description. Now, revisiting Parasite a couple months later, I'll talk about some of the more notable details I noticed, but I'd also like to hear if you guys have anything to add or any thoughts of your own on this subject down in the comments below about the use of weather in Parasite. The first use of weather that I noticed to be most effective, and one that is most noticeable, occurs during the entire sequence that plays out at the midway point of the film, when the story completely shifts. In these 20 minutes, it is revealed to us that the original housekeeper had her husband hidden in the secret underground bunker for a very long time. And it is revealed to the housekeeper that the Kim family have successfully infiltrated the Park's household. But before all these twists happen, it's important to notice how the weather is actually setting the tone for what's to come, and what parallels we can draw from it as well. For one, the Kim family is thoroughly enjoying the park's food and drink while gazing out onto the lawn, rain pouring down, with the rumbling of thunder and the occasional flash of lightning present as well. Here, the rain is seen as a comforting presence, background noise, something somber. Even when Kim Ki-jung blurts out a drunken phrase at such a high volume in that relaxed environment, the lightning and thunder both respond vigorously. But when the doorbell rings, producing that infamous sound that still fills me with dread, the rain takes on a whole new persona. The original housekeeper, Guk Moon-gwang, is standing outside, talking into the camera. We see here that the rain, while obviously drenching Moon-gwang, is in a way forcing the Kims to let her in. Think about it for a second. If you saw a middle-aged woman on the streets, drenched, asking for something with a hint of desperation in her voice, would you really turn her away? That is the question the rain proposes in this instant, and the Kim family's answer is shown by them letting her in. For a good 6 to 7 minutes, the rain fades into the background. We don't even hear it at all when we're in the secret underground bunker, with the mother of the Kim family, Choi Young-go, threatening to expose what has really been going on, regardless of how much Moon-gwang begs and pleads with them not to tell the Parks. The rest of the Kim family fall down the stairs, and it's revealed to Moon-gwang and her husband that the Kims have ingeniously taken over the entire household by posing as different people. Instantly, their roles reverse, where now it's Moon-gwang threatening the entire Kim family of exposing them to the Parks, and the Kim family, figuratively held at gunpoint by a phone, are now in the position where they will do anything to keep their secrets safe. Unfortunately for them, anything isn't enough, because the rain just doesn't forgive. After the Kims barely manage to disarm Moon-gwang and delete the footage, a call comes through on the house phone. The Parks are on their way back because, unfortunately for them, the rain ruined their camping trip. Now, here we get to see the first parallel for rain between the Parks and the Kims. For the Parks, the rain has interfered with their plans to go on a camping trip, which is really only seen as a small disappointment rather than a major loss. But for the Kims, the rain has once again pressured them to act, only this time they have to act quickly. You could even view this sudden turn of events as another consequence for Young-gyo's behavior and actions towards a helpless wife and husband making the current situation quite a karmic turn of events. After an intense sequence with the harrowing track Zappaguri ever so present, the Parks arrive just as the Kims take care of the two intruders. What's shocking is that Jung Jae-il inadvertently kills Moon-gwang by kicking her down the stairs, thus resulting in her getting a concussion and eventually dying in a very gruesome way. And while the rest of the Kim family hides in the shadows, we now get to see the Parks relax, more specifically husband Park Dong-ik and wife Choi Young-yo, while the rain once again fades into the background and simply becomes ambient noise until the Kims make their escape. Now, here's a parallel that a lot of people have drawn, and I think it's a beautiful one at that. While the Parks relax at home with the calm sound of rain, the Kims view it is entirely the opposite. We see as the Kims descend into their neighborhood that the rain has turned into an unrelenting force, and a destructive force as well, as we see that their entire house has been flooded. For the Kims, it's an annoyance, a major problem. For the Parks, they barely have to regard it as such. Masterful storytelling. And you could go even further than just rain and weather and say that the water is, well,
이야, 이거 진짜 상징적인 거네.
the Kims in this sequence are quite literally drowning. I also thought how genius it was to intercut Moon-gwang dying while the Kim's household is literally drowning along with the Kim family. They've just been completely submerged into an inescapable situation. And what's more is that I think they're being weighed down by one very important thing. The Scholar's Rock is the weight that has dragged the Kim family down to where they are now. At this very moment, there's really nothing that they can do except do what they can. That is the importance of rain in Parasite. Now, there's other instances where the weather is used to reflect on the themes of the situations happening on screen, but they're a lot more tenuous in comparison to the rain. One is the subtle use of a sunny, perfect day. After the harrowing sequence that occurred just a night prior, the Kims are all invited to Park Da-sung's birthday party, and while we follow Kim Ki-taek throughout the day, we see how distinct the two families really are. But I'm not going to dive into that, as there are many videos that already explain this in great detail. What I'd like to focus on is the meaning of a bright sunny day for these few minutes. What's interesting is that this represents the dawn of a new day, if you will. Only that this day will be the beginning of the rest of the Kim family's life. It also contrasts with the grim, horrendous, and macabre event that occurs at Da-sung's party. And you could also go even further and say that it represents the childlike innocence and vulnerability of Da-sung in this scene, which was previously established by Jung Jae-il's story about him seeing a ghost in the basement. But the use of a beautiful day contrasting with such horrific events has always fascinated me. It makes for a great parallel. Later on, we see in the dreamlike sequence where Ki-woo finally reunites with his father that it's sunny, or the sun is rising outside, marking a new beginning. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The last use of weather is that of the snowy and cold weather we see up until the end of the film. I found this use of weather to be quite effective, being that it reflects the feelings of our main character, Ki-woo. In other instances throughout the film, weather is used to describe the situation in which the characters are in, or a direct parallel of what's happening on screen. Here, we actually get a glimpse of how life goes on for the Kim family, and more specifically, for Kim Ki-woo. The cold, snowy environment can be compared to the feelings of sadness and loss that Ki-woo has. It's a barren way to look at how things have turned out over the course of a couple months. The meaning of snow here is most definitely death and bleakness. However, if we look at the biblical meaning for snow, the more spiritual meaning, it signifies purification or a new beginning. And that's what the end of the film sets out to make us believe. By Ki-woo leaving the Scholar's Stone that brought him into this situation in the first place, finding out that his father is still alive, and by committing to a plan to save him from the park's everlasting prison, definitely shows that things are beginning to change. But the cold nature of the snow and winter creeps back into Ki-woo's life. He now has to endure the long, long winter that is ahead after those life-changing events. And isn't that letter, that plan, going against his father's own philosophy, thus failing in the process? A quote from director Bong. Maybe if the movie ended where they all hug and it fades out, the audience can imagine, oh, it's impossible to buy that house. But the camera goes down to that half basement. It's quite cruel and sad, but I thought it was being real and honest with the audience. You know, and I know, we all know that this kid isn't going to be able to buy that house. I just felt that frankness was right for the film, even though it's sad. It's this type of a bitter, austere ending and explanation that left me with a very cold feeling. And that's when I knew the movie had me. When I was in that room with Ki-woo, I also came to understand the icy truth. So, that's what I could get from the somewhat elusive use of weather in Parasite. It's been great to revisit this masterpiece, and it's definitely becoming one of my favorites. Again, if any of you would like to add your own thoughts about my points or any thoughts of your own, feel free to comment down below. It's always great to discuss movies with you guys. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I've just started YouTube again, and I gotta say that I'm really enjoying it. I also thank everyone for the support on my short film customer service. It's up on my channel now if you want to give it a watch. Thank you guys, you are awesome. But for now, this has been James and the Frames, and I will see you after the credits.